CitizenCon happened. That was pretty fun. For those of you folks that are new to this, this is not like the typical videos. So if this video isn't kind of for you, totally get it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. I'm currently nursing a hangover from way too many bottles of wine.
Bottle number 3.
From yesterday's stream. So I thought I might come outside, get a little bit of fresh air while I think about what happened on today's day 2 panel for StarCitizen. And oh boy, was it a doozy.
They're all immigrants. Nobody likes them. We're gonna send them packing. We're gonna make a wall. It's gonna be a great wall. Some say the greatest wall that the Second Fleet has ever made. And we made the greatest fleet, the greatest Second Fleet. And they're gonna come in here and they're eating our cats and they're eating our dogs. And we're not gonna have any of it anymore. We're gonna send them packing right back to where they came from. Right back. Everyone's going back home. No one's gonna be allowed here in Vegas system. We are the ones in charge of Vegas system. We're the greatest, in fact. Vega has never had more prosperity than us. We've had the best prosperity, excuse me, I'm talking, excuse me, of the hexagon, you know? Oh, did we crash? Ah, I crashed again! Oh.
I literally played this last night full. Our QA played it. Like 10 QA today played this beginning to end. Didn't have the crash. It's so freaking annoying.
It wouldn't be StarCitizen without drama. So it was nice to see Chris come out and kind of reiterate what he's kind of always been saying. You know, we're on track for 1.0. The crashes, the crashing didn't look good, not gonna lie, but we all kind of figured that. They claim that they were able to run it no problem on their home computer. It's fine, it's whatever. StarCitizen has always been 2 years away since I started playing it, so it's once again 2 years away. And like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I've been telling at least my community that for a long time. But that being said, I did want to talk about the really exciting stuff, and that is endgame or large group content. Oh boy, that to me was really exciting. Now, for those of you folks who played EVE Online, there's a lot of, I guess you could say, parallels between what they're proposing and what EVE Online does. You know, player sovereignty, talking about the ability to own stations, expand on that station, build it out. It leaves me wondering how many stations, how many grants, how many orgs are going to be able to fight over them. Is there going to be a super limited supply and it's just going to be constantly and forever at war, which to me is a beautiful idea, but I think for the general audience it would be nice to not constantly all day every day be defending your station, because you're probably going to be losing more resources than gaining, considering how much fighting you're going to have to do over it. So there's going to have to be a happy medium, you know. The idea to get land grants and citizenship through the, I call it high sec side, or the lawful side, I think is really cool. And I think there's going to be a very healthy, very necessary part of the StarCitizen community that's going to have to realize that the people that they have been calling griefers and PvPers and lots of mean, horrible names are probably the ones you're going to want to make friends with, because they're the ones that are going to defend your station. And if you're a large organization, bigger is better, you know? I think large vessels like Bengals and whatnot, they haven't said it, but they did tease it, they did show it, we are going to be able to, build our own Bengal carriers. However, are those going to be only for the no security unlawful sides? Because I highly doubt the military would allow you to build a fleet carrier, because civilians would be a big problem at that point. So, whatever happens, I think it's healthy. I think it's necessary. I think it's good. I think it's a long time coming. I think alliances are going to start getting formed. And I think a lot of my friends from EVE Online are going to start taking interest in StarCitizen's development at this point. Now that we have large group gameplay kind of on the horizon, I think a lot of the StarCitizen community is maybe unaware of the level of coordination and dedication that EVE Online alliances have. EVE alliances have been around for 20 years. They're robust. They've been built strong. They have effective leadership that's been basically pruned for the last 2 decades. A lot of those players are going to want to start jumping into StarCitizen once there is stations to fight over, which makes it doubly more important to get combat in a good place, because if we are going to be fighting over stations and equipment and all this stuff in the persistent universe, the last thing I think anybody wants is for them to be defending their station and then a gang of, Firebirds show up with 24 size 3 EM missiles and just wipe the floor with everything, and you can't even target them. It's going to be really frustrating. So it's hard enough owning a base and having the logistics and the crew manning for the hours of the day to do it. So it's just one of those things, It's just one of those things. But I was impressed by the Squadron 42, presentation. I liked it. I thought it was 40 minutes of cutscenes and 20 minutes of gameplay. I thought the Vandal ships moved real slow, and I think for them to keep the intensity and the action up, they should consider having the ships fly a little faster, considering also he was playing on the hardest difficulty. I think they should be moving a little faster. The HUD display for the turrets it needs some work. It's a little hard to see the aiming reticle. The dialogue with the characters was cheesy, but whatever. I mean, it's a Chris Roberts game. The Hollywood tropes, I guess you could say. Like, I was watching stream and I literally called out. I said, that guy right there touching the picture of his family and calling his friends, like, that guy's going to get sucked out of an airlock. And lo and behold, he gets killed. So it's just, you kind of see it coming. There's no, advanced writing techniques happening in the very first section of the game. And that's just a personal nitpick of mine. I understand that it's not a big deal. It's just kind of like, you see it coming, I hope that's not what happens in the the overall story. I hope you don't see the entire story basically from the beginning and there's really no twists or changes in character development. I hope that they do a good job writing it. It seems if they keep the production quality that they've had for the prologue through the whole length of the game, then theoretically we could get 20 to 30 to 40 hours of gameplay. Not movie time, gameplay, right? So judging by the split, if they say it's a 40-hour game, that means there's only about 15 hours of gameplay. The rest is going to be Chris Roberts' 3.5-hour movie. Which, I mean, if the gameplay is solid, sure, but maybe less cutscenes, more gameplay. Instead, we'll see, right? But overall, I'm not super impressed, and I'm not super disappointed with this CitizenCon. I think it was kind of on par from what I was expecting. I think a lot of folks too. The crashes are a meme, but that's just fuel for the hate mob and the frustration that I think a lot of us feel with basically having our voices not heard. I know I'm not the only one, especially not the only content creator that feels that not just our voices, but the general community's voices are just falling on deaf ears. So this is something that CIG will have to work on in the future, and that's by open, honest communication about what the mechanics are, how they're being designed, and not just give us a blatant gray, we're just going to do this and then off we go. Like, I want them to really communicate that. And also, what's going on with LTI? Like, the last time I understood insurance, and I've said this from the beginning. I said, if you buy a ship with in-game, like with real money, they're not going to take that ship away, no matter what happens. The amount of outrage that would happen if you bought a ship with money, and then some guy called Avenger 1 or something comes out there and steals your ship. For you to lose that money would be game destroying, and I would hate that, because if I lost my $200 ship to some schmuck, I'd be upset too. So I get it, and then Rich Tyrer comes on stage and says LTI will be warranty and insurance. Okay, can you explain that a little more? Because maybe I didn't listen to it. I listened to it a couple times, and I watched Salty Mike's reaction and Level's reaction talk. They were trying to figure it out too, and they couldn't seem to come to a consensus about what this was about in terms of the insurance. Are we going to get our ship back with components? Is it going to cost a bunch of extra money? If it is LTI and they've been using it as a marketing tool and it has no effect on the game, is that taking advantage of the citizens? Is that not taking advantage of your fan base? If it does have an effect, what effect does it have? Some people seem to figure it out. Some people in chat say like they know what's going on. Some people say they don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. So however they're planning on doing their insurance system, please give us some clarification. That would be nice. Endgame content is, I think, where the heart of StarCitizen, I think, is going to come into play. I'm glad that they put a story mode in to help guide players through the different content sections and kind of teach them the ropes as to what to do. The story is essentially an expanded tutorial about what StarCitizen has to offer. So good job there, which is like a typical MMO. You go to different planets, you fulfill the storyline, they're instanced, and you just, you do it. And I'm happy for that. I'm happy that they have levels, like how, they're kind of doing like an interiors thing where they go down different levels in the city to allow different, I guess, tiers of combat and tiers of loot stuff, which is just only PvE stuff, which is essentially very similar to EVE Online's mission tier. So what I'm seeing from StarCitizen is they're taking a lot of the things that EVE Online did very well and kind of plugging them into StarCitizen, which thank the Lord, because StarCitizen desperately needs that to condense the content, to make it accessible to a large audience that hopefully stays on PC. I'm not against consoles. If you want to play an Xbox, I'm all for it. But StarCitizen, I think, should stay on PC because we can push the technology farther. Now, Squadron 42 is a different story, but they didn't say nothing about that. Although we were all expecting a console, release of Squadron 42. Personally, I don't care. If it gets more people involved in the project and Squadron 42 is a great experience and they can put it on a console, why not? Honest to God, why not? But don't sacrifice the content of StarCitizen to appeal to the masses. Understand that the reason the majority of people have pledged for StarCitizen was because of the persistent universe, base building, player structures, exploration, bounty hunting, mining, industry, player-driven economies, sandbox gameplay. That's why people have pledged $800 million. Not Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is nice. We all like the actors. Thank the Lord for Henry Cavill. Henry, if you're out there, come fly with the rest of us because we'd like to see you. But don't sacrifice what makes StarCitizen truly successful, and that is the massive online multiplayer side of things. So overall, day one, I wasn't that impressed. I was giving it like a 4 or 5 out of 10. After today's presentation and the persistent universe stuff and the player stations and the kind of reiteration of their goal for 1.0, personally for me, this was a 7 7.5 out of 10. I was happy. They did a good job. They could have cleaned it up a little bit better. But I'll leave you off on one more thing, and something that's a little concerning to me. And I don't know if anybody else picked this up. Maybe I'm overanalyzing the situation, which is what I like to do. But did anybody else feel that Chris Roberts was a little bummed out? Like, usually he comes up on stage and he's super excited, he's super ready to go. And this year he came up on stage and he seemed burnt out. Like, he seemed bummed out. Reading off a teleprompter, he seemed a little depressed, to be honest. And it kind of made me think, like, damn, dude, like, is he taking the negativity a little too personal too? Because, like, I know what that feels like. But I mean, it's a thing, you know. StarCitizen has been through some hard knocks the last 6 months to a year. And I think that would take a toll on somebody if you're leading a company and everyone's basically ringing the doomsday bell. That would probably take an emotional toll on you too. But I noticed that when I was on stage, because don't forget too, right? We all love StarCitizen. We all want it to succeed. And, you know, we put a lot of pressure on Mr. Roberts. And I'm not, you know, saying that he's a perfect human being, but he's a human being, you know? I mean, put yourself in his shoes. If you're out getting that much, you know, even referenced it on stage. He's like, you know, some comments not very nice. They're feeling the pressure from the community. That's their way of saying, you know, and essentially, we hear you, and it's like, I don't think they're ever going to admit, oh, you know, for example, Master Modes was a big kerfuffle. Like, sorry guys, let's try it again. But the best way we can see it is having an effect is you look at Chris coming out. He seems bummed out, and that is not the effect. At least I, or a lot of other folks in the community, was trying to have. I don't want Chris to go and get therapy pills because we're beating the shit out of him emotionally on Spectrum and other stuff. I get it. We're frustrated. They're frustrated. Investors are frustrated, apparently, if there are some. So maybe it's just me, but I hope Chris is doing okay. I hope he realizes that, you know, as much as we bash on him, we only make fun of the ones we love. You know, it's like a family feud in the sense, you know, like your two brothers are fighting all the time. But if anybody steps in and tries to mess with our family, you're in trouble, right? So I hope Chris is doing all right. I hope he realizes that most of the community is still behind him. Yes, we're frustrated. Yes, we want improvement. Yes, Master Modes was a joke. But there's some good stuff coming out. Squadron 42 is still on the way. It's still 2 years out, which I told you guys. But it is what it is. Large group stuff's on the way, and I hope to see you there, folks. So start training and start learning, because there's no better time than today. Life's short. Live it while you can. I was Avenger 1. I'll see you next time.